Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Hey, folks, a good Monday morning to you, and welcome to the show. Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. We do the show from the Jared Construction Studios. Right on time, right on budget. Visit jared-construction.com. Phone calls to the show is service of Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly on Spring Street in Charleston. Texting services provided by West Virginia's finest men's store, Tony the Taylor, Virginia Street, where Tony's gearing up for Father's Day this weekend. Check out the selection of happy socks, quality tees for dad, custom shirts, and more. Visit bestmastertaylor.com or check out Tony's social media pages. All right, coming up on the show, but first of all, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Coming up a little bit later on the show, former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones is going to stop. I got several things I want to talk to Danny about, including, I think the date was June the 6th. It was the anniversary of one of the more infamous events in the history of Kanawha County, the famed, infamous, as I said, Kanawha County pot plane crash. So I want to get into that a little bit with Danny. Also, of course, Danny always has an eye on what's going on in the news situation with Trump versus Musk. We'll get into that. And also, what's the horrific scenes that were playing out on your television or online last night of what's going on in Los Angeles right now. So we'll get Danny's take on that. Also coming up a little bit later on the show, Secretary of State Kris Warner is here. Tomorrow is Super Tuesday across the state of West Virginia. In the first 2 weeks of June, there were a total of 104 municipal elections across the state of West Virginia. And Secretary Warner is going to talk about that. He's also at Boys State and Girls State, one today, one tomorrow. So we'll get his take on that. And, of course, your calls and texts are always welcome. Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. A couple things in the news. First of all, the state baseball tournament now in the books. Congratulations to Hurricane Redskins, Ripley Vikings, a couple local teams that won championships. Now, we now go into that weird holding pattern, if you will, for sports until we start talking football at the start of August. To be good for our sports department to get a little time off because they have been running ragged between the softball tournament and the baseball tournament and so on and so forth. So, and speaking of sports, I guess the Cinderella season for the Mountaineer baseball team came to an end last night at the hands of LSU in the Super Regional. Second straight year, though, that the Mountaineers made it to the Super Regional. First time I think I heard Kyle say this morning, that's the first time that's happened in program history. So all in all, a great season for the Mountaineer baseball team. But LSU, man, I'm not a big college baseball guy. I watch it from time to time. LSU is just, there's something else. And the Mountaineers just overpowered by LSU both on Saturday and then that later game last night. So, but again, overall, great season for the Mountaineer baseball team. Something in the news, too. Brad McElhenney has a story posted on the website. You may want to check out. The headline is West Virginia ranks 41st in child well-being. We actually did move up, though, from 44th to 41st. So we got that going for us. This comes from something called the Kids Count Data Book. And it's basically a 50 states report of data developed by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, taking a look at kids and kids' issues. So we went from 44th to 41st in that. And in case you're keeping score at home, some other numbers. We are, as far as it comes to kids, we are 39th in economic well-being for the kids, 39th in health, which I'm going to be honest with you, that one kind of surprised me. I thought we would do a little worse than that, but we're 39th, and 32nd in something that is called family and community context, and 45th in education. It's really a fascinating story. There's some quotes on Brad's story from Kelly Allen, that no relation, that talks about this. And of course, you know how it is, folks, with numbers. Everybody's going to be able to manipulate them. Well, it means that the Republicans are screwing up. Well, they've actually gone up under the Republicans and what they were under the Democrats. So, I'm not going to get into that because you can take the numbers, you can make them read whatever you want. But again, we're not great that overall in 41st, but we are up from 44th. So positive note there. I guess you can check out Brad's story about it over at WVMetroNews.com. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Bridge Valley, offering custom-tailored trainings to supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu. We'll have Metro News Midday coming up at noon today. 13 News and Tonight Live anchor Amanda Barron is back today. It's a Monday, which means we are going to introduce you to another great mayor from around the state of West Virginia on the Mayor Monday segment. Also, from the Humanities Council of West Virginia, Eric Wagner is going to join us. We're going to be keeping a close eye on the weather, too, because yet again, it looks like West Virginia is in for some severe weather, certain parts of the state anyway, including the Kanawha Valley, sometime as you head home late this afternoon. We had a couple of good days, runs, with weather last week, but we did have some severe weather over the weekend. There was actually some flooding in parts of West Virginia. I think Bridgeport was one of those areas. It looked like from the pictures I saw posted online that they really got hammered late Saturday night, I think it was. And we had a couple of big showers here in the Kanawha Valley yesterday, and a couple of cool-looking rainbows as well. I'm not sure that had anything to do with the event in Charleston on Saturday. That's just it's a phenomenon of Mother Nature, if you will. So again, we'll have 13 News Tonight Live anchor Amanda Barrett and myself coming up with Metro News Midday, powered by Salango Law, coming up today, noon to 3 on this and other Metro News stations from around the state of West Virginia. Also, I do want to mention coming up on tomorrow's show, Dick Daughtry is going to join us. He's the executive director of the Kanawha Valley Fellowship Home. That is coming up on tomorrow's show. One other note I did want to pass along. You've heard me on this show talk about how social media, in my opinion, has made us a much angrier group overall, whether it's Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, or whatever. Our good friend TJ Meadows, host of Talkline, co-host, and I'm going to be talking to TJ a little bit later on the show. Our good friend TJ Meadows was following quite extensively this situation in Los Angeles, where President Trump has sent in the federal troops in there, much to the chagrin of the governor of the state of California and also the mayor of the city of Los Angeles. And it seems to be, from what I heard on ABC News this morning, it seems to be a little bit calmer now than what it was. But over the weekend, you saw the pictures. If you turned on the TV or you picked up your phone and perused in social media, you saw how bad it was there. But TJ got into a discussion about it on social media, and I don't comment on things like that. I may post something on my own page, but normally on a fellow broadcaster or a fellow news person's page, I normally don't comment. I save it for my own page. But there was something, and I'll spare you the details, but there was something that was said on TJ's page, and I made a comment about it, and somehow it got into the mind wars of the 1920s, late teens, early 20s, which I don't know exactly how that happened and what it has to do with what's going on in Los Angeles. Actually, I do know what the correlation is. Federal troops being brought in. But I made a comment, and a person whom I don't know commented and said to me, I can't wait to, let me clean this up so Ryan doesn't fire me. I can't wait to urinate on your grave. That's what a person said about me. that they could not wait to urinate on my grave. Well, number one, I'm going to be cremated, so I guess you just have to knock over the vase. But I mean, you could disagree with people with anything I say on this show or what I post online or whatever. But I mean, to say they can't wait to urinate, and I cleaned it up on my grave because you disagree with something I said. I mean, is this where we are? I mean, as a society that's okay? I don't know. That's all I got to say is, folks, I don't know. It's 9:18, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Husson's Pizza. This month, get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and a whole 10-inch sub, only $23.99. Find your closest Husson's for delivery, pickup, or dine-in by going to HussonsPizza.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Taylor text 304-935-5008. Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones will be stopping by in a little bit, and tomorrow's Super Tuesday for municipal elections around the state of West Virginia. They're between the first 2 Tuesdays in the month, one being last Tuesday and one being tomorrow. There were 104 elections, including a few here in Kanawha County coming up tomorrow. So we're going to talk to Secretary of State Kris Warner about that when we come back on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you a physical therapy assistant and looking for an opportunity in orthopedics, wellness, and athletic care? If so, Generations Physical Therapy is offering flexible work hours and an upbeat atmosphere. With 7 convenient locations, Generations may have a job designed for you. Visit generationspt.com.
When I set out to build our firm, it was built for greatness. It was built for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Office 222 Capitol Street, Charleston. Cases will be handled by West Virginia licensed attorneys. The attorney in this ad is not licensed in West Virginia. ForThePeople.com.
It's time to escape to your happy place without draining your wallet. At Members Choice, West Virginia Federal Credit Union, we'll help you get there. Right now, during our vacation loan special, you can borrow up to $1,500 with rates as low as 5.99% APR and up to 12 months to pay back. So whether you're going to the beach or the mountains, the time to go is now. Learn more or apply today at memberschoicewv.com. Loans are subject to credit approval. Additional restrictions may apply.
According to Feeding America, over 7 million seniors nationwide were food insecure in 2022. West Virginia is no different. Hi, I'm Jason, President and CEO of Union Mission Ministries. For 113 years, Union Mission has focused on helping people in need. Right now, our senior citizens need our help. That is why Union Mission is partnering with local senior living facilities to get food delivered directly to those in need. Will you help us reach more seniors? Visit unionmission.com to learn more.
The Husson's June Special is a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and any whole 10-inch sub for only $23.99. Visit your nearest Husson's for dine-in, pickup, or delivery. Order now at HussonsPizza.com.
It is 9:20. Welcome back to the show. We're efforting to get West Virginia Secretary of State Kris Warner on the line. Tomorrow's Super Tuesday as far as municipal elections go in the state of West Virginia. A total between the first 2 Tuesdays of 104 municipal elections in the state of West Virginia. And some of you may be thinking, what? There's municipal elections? Well, the turnout's never very good. I'm really going to be honest with you about that. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy tackles pressing health issues, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and RSV. It's a great podcast offered insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles and beyond the state. Great resource. Check out the latest episodes, WVMetroNews.com, under the podcast menu, and start your journey towards better health today. Let's welcome to the show West Virginia Secretary of State Kris Warner. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Dave. It's great to be with you from Lewis County this morning.
Yeah, we're going to get into why you're in Lewis County coming up a little bit later on. But as far as the municipal elections go, as I said, last Tuesday, tomorrow considered, tomorrow really is the big one for municipal elections around the state, with 76 elections being held tomorrow, including, if I got my information right, I think there's 3 in Kanawha County tomorrow. We'll get to those in a moment. Secretary, why is it so important for people to take part in these elections?
You know, I just had the opportunity to talk to Mountain Air Boys State, Dave, and it's important because, as we talked about this morning with Mountaineer Boys State, they refer to them as citizens here at Mountaineer Boys State. But if you're not registered to vote, you're just a resident of your city or your county or your state. By registering to vote, it gives you the opportunity to become a citizen, and you become an active citizen when you actually vote. And it's all a part of the process. And some of these very small communities, if they don't have 20 people to show up and vote, even though there might not be a contested election, the state code says that community shall dissolve. So it's extremely important to get out and have a say-so, though, in those contested elections where you have an input on things that affect your daily life. When you're electing a city council member or a mayor, those, I think, quite frankly, are more important than your statewide and federal offices in that they have a role in your daily life.
And I don't disagree with that. We're talking with West Virginia Secretary of State Kris Warner because, these are the people that actually impact your lives. And here in Kanawha County, the voters in Clendenin, Marmet, and Pratt, all three of those here in Kanawha County will be headed to the polls tomorrow. And one of the things that I have found, and I know that you can agree with this, is that there's less and less people that seem to want to get involved to put their name on the ballot to run for offices. So unfortunately, a lot of times when voters show up at the polls, and this is not the fault of anybody, it's not the fault of your office or anything, but they show up at the polls, and sometimes they don't have a lot of choices because a lot of people people just don't want to seem to get involved as much anymore. I'm talking about those running for office, Secretary.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. We now have too many keyboard warriors out there that want to poke holes in anything that any elected official does. But again, these are the people that are taking the calls about the barking dog or the snow being plowed in front of their driveway. The things that municipal leaders take care of. So I would just ask everybody to take a step back, look and realize what these people are doing. They work 7 days a week. They're answering questions in the grocery store on their way to the post office. It's a thankless job at times, and I just want to applaud those that do run for office and put their name up on the ballot and take the grief that they take.
And they do take a lot. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. So what plans has the office got for being out and about tomorrow?
I've got 7 or 8 communities that I'm on hit in Harrison County, starting in Bridgeport tomorrow, but we're going to cover Harrison and Marion counties. We are going to have one staff member from the office at every contested election in the state tomorrow. So I think it's 77 that will actually vote tomorrow, 77 communities. And we're going to have everywhere that there's a contested race, we're going to have somebody either from our investigations or elections division. And again, I'm covering 7 or 8 in north central West Virginia.
Any issues with the first round last week? First round of elections?
No, I don't think that there's anything that's been notable. The normal, but the election will 10 days later will be the audit or the canvassing, as some would refer to that. Mm-hmm. And so we expect everything to go well. We've got a great field staff, as you well know, and they're spread out across the state as well, offering help as far as the training goes and making sure that everybody's ready to go for Election Day. The important part about the Secretary of State's office is that there is never a down year. They're either municipal elections or statewide elections. So every year is an election year for us, and we treat it as such.
And if people do go to their polling place tomorrow in some of these elections, Secretary, and they see something that doesn't seem quite right, you see some electioneering going on, or you see people with campaign materials, or you got questions, things just don't look like that they're on the up and up. What do they need to do?
We ask folks, first of all, to address that with the poll workers. But if you see something, say something, and you can do that by going to WV Fraud is the telephone number to call. That puts you directly into the investigation office at the Secretary of State, and we have folks that can deploy quickly.
Before we let you go, because I know you're busy, you got some other things to get to. So you mentioned that you're up in Lewis County, Boys State, I think today, and Girls State going on tomorrow. Is that right?
Actually, I just finished with the flag raising ceremony and spoke to all 240 citizens of Boys State, and I'm on my way to Randolph County to speak for the first day of Girls State.
Okay, that's my fault. Yeah, they're actually going on at the same time. Why is Boys and Girls State? Why is this so important for people, or for the youngsters, not youngsters, the young adults involved?
You know, we had the opportunity to talk this morning, and after I had a chance to address the entire crowd, it was just refreshing to see the number of citizens that wanted to step forward and talk about what their plans are. Many of them are trying to get into the military academies. You know, 2 wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. They're juniors on their way to becoming seniors. And we talked about the Jennings-Randolph Award, where if you register more than 85% of your senior class, we recognize that school with the Jennings-Randolph Award. And then we invite them to the Capitol during the legislative session in January and February to recognize the 2 students that led that effort as honorary secretaries of state. So this is all about citizenship. They're now citizens of Boys State, but we want them to become citizens in their community, in their county, and in their state when they go back home on Saturday.
All right. Secretary, we'll let you get back to it. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be with us today. Happy Super Tuesday Election Day tomorrow.
Dave, thanks for the opportunity today.
All right. West Virginia Secretary of State Kris Warner, 929, the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented in part by Generations Physical Therapy, the leading provider of outpatient PT in the tri-state for nearly 30 years. For an appointment, 304-760-5660 or visit generationspt.com to find the closest location near you. And again, in Kanawha County, the communities of Clendenin, Marmet, and Pratt will all be headed to the polls tomorrow. We got a little info from a friend of the program, Tony Hodge, who's a regular on the program here. His son, Hayden, is the sitting governor at Boys State. So just Tony wanted to make sure I knew that. He's a good kid. I don't know what happened to his dad, but no, he's a good kid. No, I'm just kidding. Congratulations to Hayden. Danny Jones, former Charleston mayor, has stopped by. How you doing, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy.
Thanks for having me over.
Thank you for being here. All right, so before we get into anything else, I got to ask you, Musk versus Trump.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, I think Trump will come out on the losing end because he just can't allow the slightest slight to go unanswered. And what he should have done was just ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
And, our federal government needs SpaceX, for instance. And I don't know if if Musk didn't take his medicine, I don't know what's causing all this. Well, he has some issues.
He has some major issues. And now there's a lot of reports out there about drug use with Musk, about the amount of, things like, this is when, widely published about the use of ecstasy and ketamine and all these other things. So maybe he took the medication or didn't take enough of something. I don't know.
Ketamine.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cat food.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
I don't even know what.
So, I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing, and here's something that was brought out to me by some of my more right-leaning conservative friends. A couple of people have speculated that this whole thing was just a work, that eventually that this is just to kind of get attention, to distract from other things and whatever, that there was never a rift between them. And I had somebody text the network show last week and say Trump is playing everybody, there is no feud or whatever.
True.
But here's what I would say to that. Even, Danny, if it were, do we really need a president that is doing things like this?
Yeah. It's he's such a polarizing figure.
Yes.
And he doesn't need any help.
Yeah.
So for some reason, Elon Musk got upset. Maybe it's because that appointment he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But Trump should have let it go and not competed. He made it a competition when he responded the very first time.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the modus operandi for Donald Trump. Even, as I said before, well before politics, he's a very competitive individual. By maybe even his own admission, people close to him, he can be petty at times.
Very.
He can't stand anybody, in his mind, getting the upper hand on him. But I don't know that he's ever met anybody quite like Elon Musk. Somebody that doesn't need his money, that's got more. He's the richest man on earth. I don't think that Trump, in my opinion, Danny, has encountered a lot of people like that.
And President Trump has enough problems out there in Los Angeles, for instance.
Right. We'll get to that in a moment, yeah.
He's got enough on his plate. He doesn't need to be involved in a tit-for-tat between he and the richest man on the planet.
All right, so you're a California guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking what's going on right now in Los Angeles.
I'm an hour south of there.
Okay.
And it doesn't take too much social media to bring out a mob like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen in Long Beach, I've seen mobs turn out to protest Monsanto, for instance. Mm-hmm. That's been quite a few years ago, but it doesn't take much. And a lot of the constituency is Mexican. And most of those people are just hardworking folks. They're not looking for any trouble, but there's enough of them, and there's enough white academics to cause problems.
Who's right and who's wrong here in the way that this is being handled? I'm not talking about the fact that the illegality. I'm talking about the way it's being handled. Your take on that?
I don't think either of them are. I think ICE is a police agency, and they should be accorded the respect of a police department, but they're not.
But a lot of people, I think, have taken issue, Danny, with the fact that Governor Newsom, being one, the mayor of Los Angeles,
Newsom's just trying to get in the middle of it, David. He just wants exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they want to just arrest me. Just come get me. Which
is what he wants.
That's what he wants.
That's what he wants. But he and others have had issues with the fact that the president, I guess, mobilized and sent these people in without actually talking to the governor.
And what was the governor going to say? Come on in?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a federal operation.
Right.
He doesn't have to ask him. I've been around Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the room with him.
Mm-hmm.
In a table somewhat like this. And he stood right over here, and he had his shirt unbuttoned right down to the middle of his chest with no T-shirt. And there's a bunch of us mayors sitting around with coats and ties on. I was sitting in between the mayor of Charleston, South Carolina, and the mayor of Richmond, Virginia. And here he comes. He never looked at anybody. He looked straight ahead, look at me.
Right.
I got no use for him. He shouldn't be the governor.
Well, one of the things about Newsom is that he's, there's always the talk he's going to run for president. I mean,
I'm sure he is.
And no matter who the Democrats put up, they're probably more than likely going to get beat in 2028.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay. All right. Well, time will tell. But it would be, Danny, you talk about the impossible of impossibles. A Democrat governor from California being elected president of the United States in the present political climate.
Yeah. If they would somehow put Josh Shapiro up, they'll win the election.
You think so?
I put big money on it. That's how strong I think he is.
We had a text here that says Trump is escalating the situation by sending the military. Trump wants martial law, so he has complete control, and he's trying to agitate the protesters into giving him a reason.
I don't know if I agree with that. But he's allowed to send the National Guard. Eisenhower did it in Little Rock. President Kennedy did it in Birmingham, Alabama in '63. I mean, it's done. They don't like to do it, but it's done.
Talking again with former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Off night tonight for the Birds. They're back at Go-Mart Ballpark tomorrow night to begin a series against Long Island. For tickets, schedule, promotion, merchandise, and more, visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. We'll take a break. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses bring first-class businesses to your community.
The free Metro News TV app is the place to watch the voice of West Virginia all day. See Talkline with Dave and TJ, Sportsline with Tony Caridi, Free Guys before the game, and now Metro News Middays and Hotline with Dave weekly. Get the Metro News Television app from the Apple App Store or Google Marketplace. Metro News Television is powered by the University of Charleston, the West Virginia Department of Tourism, Dan Cabot Toyota, the WVHTC Foundation, WVU Medicine, and Trojan Landing and Marine, and Power Sports.
Opening day has arrived, and baseball is back for another season. And while you may not be joining the boys of summer on the field this year, that doesn't mean you can't still hit a home run.
It's way back. It's a home run.
Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is stacked with inventory this spring to help you find the perfect vehicle to get to the game or even just to the grocery store. But you know you're going to get the best deal possible at Walker because Gene and Ryan built their business the old-fashioned way by making friends. There are no gimmicks or games at Walker, just honest, fair deals. And don't forget, Walker is still buying cars too. And that's right, all makes and models are welcome at Walker, and they'll give you top dollar for yours, even if you plan to buy somewhere else. So knock one out of the park this spring and get into that new vehicle that you've been dreaming of.
A grand slam! Holy cow!
Just take the short 20-minute drive from Charleston or Huntington to Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Just off the Hurricane exit of I-64. Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, making friends one deal at a time.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah,
Welcome back to the show. 21 minutes away from 10. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. Older adults should protect themselves against severe respiratory disease. Talk to your doctor about flu, COVID-19, and RSV vaccines. Risk less, do more. Get started. Vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones is here. Going back to election stuff, Texas Dave, can West Virginia citizens pay people to register to vote or pay people to vote like Elon did? Is it legal? Text said Eisenhower and Kennedy sent troops so black kids could go to desegregated schools. Trump is sending troops to protect ICE so they can snatch people and detain them without due process.
Well, the point is, I understand that. That's not news. But the point is, the president is the commander-in-chief of all the National Guard in every state. If he wants to assume that power, he can do it.
All right. I want to move on to something else, and I want to bring up this with you. It has nothing to do with California or anything like that, or even Trump for that matter. A few entities, Danny, did stories on this recently. The date was June the 6th, 1979, when a cargo plane carrying around 13 tons of pot crashed into what is now West Virginia International Yeager Airport. You were around back then.
I remember that morning.
All right.
It was, I was, you know where Rusty's law office is, Rusty Webb. Mm-hmm. I had my restaurant in that building. It was the entire length of the building. It was probably one of the top 2 successes I ever had in my life. And we were busy all the time. And I would get up and go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of times I'd just take a taxi. Mm-hmm. And on that morning I did take a taxi. So the taxi driver explained to me, you won't believe what happened. That a plane went off the end of the runway and pots all down the mountain, and it's on fire. The marijuana was on fire, and there were 2 deputies indicted over that. And John Carrico, who's listening, he represented one of them. He represented the older Chadwick. Mm-hmm. His son was up there too, and supposedly their job was to guard the Ryder trucks that was going to haul all of the pot. And when the plane crashed, Mark Chadwick took off in one of the riders. But he finally was acquitted, Mark Chadwick, and the older Chadwick was acquitted in the main trial, and John Carrico was his lawyer. I'm not sure if that was the only acquittal. It might have been. But on that morning, Wayne Rich, we had a real zealot in the assistant United States attorney, and he was a little bit over the top. Now, he wasn't a little bit. He was a lot over the top. And he called DePiro, and he said, Tim, we got to go out to the airport. So DePiro asked why. I said, well, there's a bunch of pot, just went off the side of the mountain. So DePiro said to him, it's only marijuana, Wayne, like that. Well, I think they both ended up going out there, and DePiro was one of the prosecutors in the case. So it got around that Tim told Wayne, it's only marijuana, Wayne. Mm-hmm. So when they came to trial, they all had buttons made. It said, it's only marijuana, Wayne. So all those defendants and their lawyers are wearing these buttons, like campaign buttons.
Right, yeah.
It's only marijuana, Wayne. Mm-hmm. And the trial was a bit of a...
Now, how long was the trial? What was the difference between when this happened? How long did it take to get to trial? Do you remember?
Oh, I want to think it was 81.
Okay, so
or maybe 80. It was a while,
a year or so, too, maybe afterwards.
At least.
Okay,
and those guys, I don't remember too many of them getting too much time, mm-hmm. And the thing was stopped in the middle because Dennis Knapp was the judge. And he kind of lost control of the courtroom, and he had either a heart attack or some type of ailment. So then Judge Copenhaver had to come in and take over the trial in the middle of the trial. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody kind of straightened up then. But it was like, these guys were really off the rails, these defendants. They would tell, there was a female U.S. attorney, and I'm not going to say her name, but because it doesn't matter, she says, oh, she smells like that. They do stuff like that. And just to try to disrupt the trial. And Knapp kind of lost control of it. That's my memory. Tim DePiro is listening if he wants to call in.
So what was the story here behind this? I mean, how does this happen? This is not like simple possession here. It was 13 tons of pot. What's the backstory? Who was involved? Where was it going? How did it get here? I remember hearing the story, but I was a kid. I do remember watching it on television, the local news talking about it. But you were around then. What's the story?
The number here is 304-345-5858.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. 345-5858. It was just a drug run to bring some pot in here because there was a huge market for it. Mm-hmm. And the laws weren't as strict then. It wasn't until 86 that we had the commission that strengthened all the dope laws. And like I said, the trial was a fiasco, and those guys didn't get much time. I think it was all about the money. And they had all that pot, and they wanted to bring it in here, put it in rider trucks, store it somewhere, and then sell it. And they would have sold it because a lot of people smoked marijuana at that time.
What was...
Ding, 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 ding.
By the way, we had a texter who said, I love listening to Danny. You're not bad either, Dave. Says the texter. I appreciate that. So, was there any truth to the fact that organized crime was involved in this?
I don't think so. I think, these were big drug runners. And I wouldn't say organized crime in the way we're thinking of the New York Five families.
Right.
There was a guy from Chile or South America.
I was going to say, I thought there was a time.
Ozzy Negron.
Okay. Who do we have here, Ryan? Is this Tim? We have Tim?
Let's get him.
All right, Tim DePiro, you're on with Dave and Danny. Welcome to the show, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks. How y'all doing?
Doing fine. Have you been listening to what Danny's been spinning here, and is it all true?
Well, there's a few more facts that should be.
Okay.
Wayne woke me up in the middle of the night with the call and said that he was going, that the state police, the DEA, the Canal Sheriff's, Charleston Police. He said, there's some marijuana. He didn't say it poured all over. I thought it was a little Cessna with maybe a suitcase full.
Yeah, that's what you think of, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, who's going to be flying a big old plane in there? So I thought, it's only marijuana, Wayne. You all can take care of it. When I woke up to the news that a DC-6 had crashed and spilled, multiple tons of marijuana, I called my buddy Frank Vergale and said, I'm going to be in trouble when I get to the office for not going. And he's the one. He ended up representing one of the guys in the Ryder truck, and he told all the defense lawyers about that it's only marijuana, Wayne. And that's how the buttons got out. And I caught some heavy grief when I got in there. But, the old. Let me tell you the rest of the story.
Yes, go ahead.
Let me tell you the rest of the story. Of course, Bob King was the U.S. attorney, now federal judge, and he was all over me that day. But I ended up working the case, and turns out when Copenhagen took over, there was a motion to dismiss the indictment because we had destroyed the plane and destroyed other evidence and all this kind of stuff. And Judge Copenhagen wanted every piece that came off that mountain. And poor Wayne had saved shark repellent and one of the bags that the marijuana was in. And he had it hanging in his office, and he had to go testify. And so about a year after the trial, or 6 months after the trial, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, put out a memo that said federal prosecutors are not supposed to go to crime scenes because they can end up being witnesses in the case. Mm-hmm. So I proceeded to tell Bob King, now Judge King, I said, Bob, you thought I was just being lazy, not getting up and going in. I said, I knew I could be a witness, and it was just not a smart thing to do. I was just being, very smart about it.
Not really.
So that's the rest of the story.
Hey, Tim, you just got a phone call just recently. Tell us about that.
Okay. On June 6th, I got a call, and it said, Happy June 6th. I said, what? He says, Happy June 6th. I said, who is this? He says, Jerome.
Jerome Lil.
Oh, gosh. Jerome Otto Lil. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, it was 46 years ago. I said, oh, gosh, you're crazy.
He was one of the defendants.
A few times. Uh-huh. He kind of masterminded this thing.
Well, I mean, it didn't sound like he did a very good job of it, to be honest with you, Tim. He tried to mastermind. He tried to mastermind it. I don't know that he did a very good job.
No, he didn't do a great job. No, well, he blames one of the guys for messing up the brakes. He did something on the plane that messed up the brakes, and otherwise they would have pulled it off. They probably would have. But long story short is he has got religion seriously. Wrote a book about his experience, and has a brother that's sick, and he does things to kind of help with that. I forget the kind of illness he has, but he's been redeemed. I just appreciate it.
You all had a meeting that took place in my restaurant, and all the players, including Rosalie Earle, who worked for the Gazette. I don't know if Patty Vandergriff was there, but all the players.
There. She loved it. She enjoyed it because
you had kind of a reunion in my restaurant, right?
That's exactly right.
And Jerome was there.
They tried us more than we tried them. It seemed like these lawyers just kind of whooshed in from all over the country who were just ready. I guess they're just ready for calls for these guys. So it was quite an experience. I learned.
Go ahead.
I learned a whole lot in a 1 year's time and being in the courtroom. It's amazing.
Hey, Tim, we got to take the break here, but I do want to ask you in 30 seconds, what happened to all the pot?
Well, we started burning it, and it didn't look good because too many cops were up there burning it and laughing and cutting up and getting hungry.
I had John.
So they decided to put paraquat on it and bury it, and said, "Look, it's really dangerous." So they buried it all, and then it was like a bunch of hobbits up there the next few days digging, trying to find it all.
Yeah, I had former Sheriff Rutherford on the show, and he just was talking about it one day, and he said something to the effect of, he said, we had cops from everywhere, man. We had guys from Minnesota, calling us and saying, can we come down and help? hey, Tim, I appreciate your insights and calling us up today. It's good stuff, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Tim.
It's 9:51. We're going to take a break. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live brought to you part by Pinnacle Consultants. Poor indoor air quality can cause a variety of health issues, allergies, respiratory problems, and more. Pinnacle offers specialized indoor air quality services for residential, commercial, and industrial type settings. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for shopping locally.
My name's Chris Miller. I'm president of Dutch Miller Automotive. Jarrett Construction completely renovated and helped redesign Dutch Miller Kia in South Charleston. The fit and the finish and the quality of the project is exceptional. He has an attention to detail and an eye for that kind of stuff. You always want to give your best to your customer. It's just as important to him as it is to you. If you're ever looking to build anything, I'd call Jarrett Construction because you know exactly you're going to get something excellent every single time.
Call on Jarrett Construction. Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Poca Valley Bank locations today. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield, subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
For half a century, Ohio farmers have relied on glyphosate for higher yields and lower input costs. The Modern Ag Alliance is fighting to keep it that way. Learn more at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Ohio Farm.
Foundation issues? Wet basement? Drainage problems? Contact Foster Foundation Repair. Locally owned and operated by a licensed professional engineer, Foster Foundation Repair provides rock-solid service with certified results. Contact us today for a free evaluation. Foster Foundation Repair. Rock-solid service. Certified results. FosterFoundationRepair.com. West Virginia Contractor License WV061105.
At Peyton Law Firm, we know how tough it is when life takes a sudden turn. An accident can change everything. But at Peyton Law Firm, we stand by you. Whether it's a car crash, a slip and fall, or disability claim, we fight for the compensation you deserve. Put the power of Peyton Law Firm on your side, because when it matters to you, it matters to us. Let us help you find justice. Visit us at PeytonLawFirm.com.
Free.
$9:54 of the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Meeks Realty Group. Check out this cool listing from Rich the Realtor. 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath townhome in Tays Valley. Highly sought after area, award-winning schools, awesome kitchen, 2 big bedrooms, plenty of closet space too between Charleston and Huntington. Contact my buddy Rich the Realtor, 304-932-7488. Danny Jones is here. Let me knock out a couple of texts here, not related to pot. Text says, how times have changed. Remember Clinton and Reno having a SWAT team hold a gun on a family member hiding the Elian Gonzalez in a closet trying to avoid deportation? What part of illegal alien is hard to comprehend? Trump is doing exactly what millions of us voted for him to do. Look at the latest poll. His numbers have gone up since Holman and I started rounding people up.
I take exception to both of those. But Elian Gonzalez his father was in Cuba, so he had rights to his son. That's what that was all about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's
and even though I don't want to see the little boy go to communism, I mean, that was his dad, and he wanted him back, and he should have him.
Texas, many are conveniently ignoring the masked Marxist thugs who are hurling small boulders off a highway overpass onto LAPD cars below. Any cause for attempted murder charges for them?
Well, I'm not in the middle of it. I don't know, and you know, it's always been like that out there. And, I mean, kind of like the Rodney King riots and stuff like that. It's just kind of sad. What's sad about it is the entire state of California takes the brunt. And down where I am, which is an hour south, you don't see anything like that. Any violence or it's really nice.
Text says, Dave, let Danny know that the people have a right to form a militia and stand against government overreach against the people. The Constitution still stands.
I'm not even going to touch that.
Text says, I was in college at WVU at that time, going back to the pot plane of 79. There were always rumors that the pot in town was airplane pot.
I don't think so.
Well, your buddy there, Mr. DePiro, said that they burned it. So,
well, but there was marijuana in the early 70s around here.
What? Really?
I can attest to that. And it didn't come off any airplane. It was bought in here by people.
Text going back to Los Angeles. Police chief says they will review video evidence after the situation is under control and will seek charges to the max that the law will allow.
I don't think they'll find juries to convict anybody.
Text says those people in Los Angeles are peacefully protesting just like the January 6th protesters. And I think that's a little sarcasm.
Well, sure it was. In January 6th.
And the texter's right, by the way. The texter's 100% right.
January 6th wasn't peaceful. And neither is this.
Oh, but you can't say that because, and I was alluding to what TJ had posted earlier, that somebody in that, I said something about January 6th is what started the whole thing. I said kind of like January 6th. And they said, well, and then they go and all these conspiracy theories that that was mainly done by Capitol Police. But the thing about it is, and there's no sense in having this argument, one simple, 5 or 6 words, it never would have happened if Trump would have said something.
Watch day 5 of the January 6th hearing, and it deals with the Vice President Pence and his staff. If you think it was peaceful, he almost lost his life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was 40 feet away from death.
Yeah.
If there was a hero that day, or he was one of them.
And I think it says something about Pence, too. I saw an interview with him, a sit-down interview a couple of weeks ago on one of the Sunday news shows. It says something about Pence that he's forgiven everybody.
Well, that's his style.
I mean, that's what Christians do.
Yeah, but he was running down those steps, and they got secured in a basement. Of course, they broke out their Bibles. Everybody started praying.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a car to take him away from the Capitol, and he refused to get in it. And he said, I don't want the optic to be that there's what's going on inside and the vice president who's supposed to preside over Congress is fleeing the Capitol. So he wouldn't leave.
I think that's very commendable.
I think if there was he's the man.
All right. Final minute or so of the show. Actually, final 30 to 45 seconds. What do you think happens in Los Angeles at this point? I mean, does this further escalate or?
I think as long as ICE is there and they're arresting people, I think there'll be resistance.
All right. Danny, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Whether we're talking ICE or we're talking pot, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And I'm still amazed that you said that there was marijuana in Charleston in the 1970s. Really?
73.
Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones. We got Wilson and Meadows coming up with Metro News Talk Line at 10:06. I'm back with 13 News and Tonight Live anchor Amanda Barron for Metro News Midday. Powered by Salango Law, coming up at noon today. Coming up on tomorrow's show, Dick Daughtry from the Kanawha Valley Fellowship Home will be stopping by the program. Follow the news of the day, WVMetroNews.com and at WCHSNetwork.com as well. My producer, Ryan Nicholson, thank you so much. See you later today. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM 96.5 FM Charleston and 104.5 Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.